Hello and welcome everyone. Good evening, and my name is Ms. Shah, Director of ICHAS and ICHAS Support Foundation. A little bit about ICHAS. ICHAS' vision is to make quality mental health services accessible for everyone by providing comprehensive, step-by-step training and connecting them to those in need. So, our training programs help practitioners to develop advanced coaching and therapeutic skills. Today, we are here to present to you the fifth episode of TruTalks on NLP, a comprehensive masterclass to demystify NLP. NLP is Neuro Linguistic Programming, and it provides to the coaches, therapists, and other practitioners an understanding of how NLP can aid in rapid, effortless, and sustainable change creation in various forms of coaching and therapy. So, in this episode, we are going to talk about NLP's success principle. And with me, I have today Mamta Sharma, my colleague, and my co host. And together, we will take you through this masterclass series. So, Mamta, can you give your introduction to the audience?
Thank you, Misbah, and good evening, everyone present here with us, and those of you who will watch this later. I am Mamta Sharma, Director, ICHA Support Foundation, and your co-host for this masterclass series, TruTalks on NLP or Neuro Linguistic Programming. In these live episodes at 6:30 p.m. every Wednesday, as Misbah said, we discuss the key concepts and techniques in NLP, what it is, and what it means for coaches and other practitioners. I encourage all of you to share your comments and questions in the comments, and we'll try to answer them as we go along or towards the end of the session. So, Misbah, what are these success principles that we are going to share with everyone today?
All right. So, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Because it's showing a little flaky network on my end, but I think we'll sail through. So, in this episode, we will talk about or we'll walk our audience through basic principles that, when followed, can help you to achieve success in different areas or walks of life. And since success means different things to different people, let's begin by exploring the meaning of the word success.
Yeah.
So, before we go ahead, let's take a moment. Let's close our eyes
Right.
and take 3 deep breaths.
Mhm.
And after that, think about the word success. And notice what success means to you. Notice, feel, imagine, see, observe, explore the word and its meaning. Once you're able to explore what success means to you, go ahead and define success in your own words. And slowly and gently, once you're ready, you can open your eyes and make a note of this definition. And if you want, you can also share with us in the chat section what does success mean to you per se.
Right. I think, Misbah, that was wonderful. And you know what? When you were sharing it with the audience, I was running it in my head. And if you ask me, success to me would mean having the resources to do what I want to do. And if I don't have them, success also means to be able to build the skills to acquire those resources. And of course, feel happy and fulfilled in that entire journey. So, as Misbah said, it would be wonderful if you can also share, your idea of success in the comments wherever you are. But Misbah, at the same time, I realized that the meaning of success will be so different for different people, and for some it could. So, some elements could be similar, but the whole idea may be entirely different. Am I right?
Absolutely, Mamta. And this is why we are going to talk about success principles today. So there are 5 success principles in NLP, which will help us to study and decode the patterns of thinking, strategies, and techniques that are shared by successful people using NLP modeling strategies. We can follow them on our very own path to success or our goal.
Yeah.
So following 5 success principles give us a structure that we can use over and over again and have the structure unconsciously ingrained in our system in everything that we do, because every time we do that, we are training our minds to do that again.
Yeah.
And slowly we begin to master the art and science of setting and achieving our goals and work towards our success.
Right. That would be truly amazing. Like, there are, everybody wants to unlock the secret to success. So, what are these 5 principles?
So let's begin with the first success principle, Mamta, which is know your outcome. So just like one of the most basic definition of success is accomplishment of aim or a purpose.
Right.
Now, obviously, in order to accomplish a aim or a purpose, we need to know the aim, the purpose, or the outcome that we are looking to achieve.
Yep.
This is what the first success principle is: know your outcome.
Right. That sounds just about perfect. And for our audience, let me just simply define what an outcome is, or what this aim or purpose is that we are talking about. An outcome can be seen as an end objective that you wish to achieve with the help of a specific action at a given point of time, or a combination of actions over a period of time. So, for example, if I want to make my husband feel happy when I meet him, that can be an outcome, that I want him to feel happy when I meet him. Or another outcome can be, I want to take the turnover of my company to $1 million over a period of 1 year. So outcomes can be very different. They can be professional, personal, and so on. What is important about the outcome is that it provides a sense of direction to everything that we do. And these outcomes will drive our thoughts, emotions, and hence actions.
Yes, Mamta. And one of the way of looking at it is from the point of view of say playing a game. Imagine playing one without any outcome or a goal. It would be so. I mean, it's like so boring and pointless because we don't know where are we heading to. Wouldn't it
Right?
be?
Yeah.
Knowing your outcome is knowing where the finish line is or what are we trying to achieve while playing that game. Also, who's going to win or who's going to lose, and while running a race also for that matter.
Right.
Everything from the speed, so like the last thing that I said about running a race also, so that everything would be determined right from the speed of the you run to the direction that you runs depend upon the outcome that you want to achieve, right?
Yep.
Similarly, once you know the outcome of an action for an action and align your mind to that outcome, the mind naturally begins to move in that direction to help you to get closer to that outcome. And if
Yeah.
the mind is not aware of this outcome or not aligned with the outcome, then our actions may become random and directionless, and we are not sure where we are going.
Absolutely. And people who are watching us, listening to us, and if you're wondering how to align our minds to the outcome, so alignment refers to that your outcome should be ecological. And we'll come to that in great detail a little later. But first, let's talk a little more about the principle itself, knowing your outcome. So, knowing your outcome does not just mean knowing the outcome, or knowing the final goal or the final aim, but it also includes knowing all those things that you need to know in order to achieve the outcome or reach there, or at least start working towards achieving the outcome, which means that the outcome should be well formed or well defined, right, Misbah?
Absolutely. So the outcome needs to be an outcome which is framed using first thing that one needs to keep in mind is it is framed using a positive language. Second thing one needs to keep in mind is it's sensory specific. I mean, we will talk a little bit in detail about all of them. And third would be it includes details about at least the first few steps that needs to be taken towards the goal. This action may be initiated by, say, by the person or the individual within 24 hours of forming the outcome.
Oh.
And also, the fourth thing is that the outcome needs to be ecological, and the last of it is, and also it should include about all the details about the resources that needs to be uh, that are required to accomplish that outcome.
Right, perfect. Yeah. So Misbah just shared 5 elements of a well-formed outcome with us, and we can look at each one of them separately now. The first one is what Misbah just shared with us, that the outcome should be in positive language, framed in a positive language. So what we are trying to say here is the outcome should tell you what you are working towards and not what you're trying to get away from. And why? Because it makes it easier for the mind to imagine the outcome when your outcome is about what you're working towards, right, Mr.
Yes, there are absolutely many times, Mamta, when an outcome is stated in a negative. I Okay, all right. I think yes. So I think I missed on the point. Yeah. So many times, Mamta, when we're talking about the outcome and the outcome is negative, we end up reinforcing that negative outcome or that negative sentence instead of moving towards the positive. Now let's take an example and understand that.
Yeah.
So first, let's close our eyes and take a deep breath. And after taking a deep, don't imagine a pink elephant with a yellow tail and a blue trunk. And then you can slowly open your eyes. Now, what was the first image that came to your mind?
Pink elephant with a yellow tail and blue trunk, of course.
This is exactly what happens when we have an outcome in a negative. So, if I say, I do not want to be afraid on a stage, the image it may create is that of me feeling afraid on a stage, and then I put a cross over it. But in the
Hmm.
process, I've already reinforced the fear of being on the stage or talking on the stage.
Right.
Now, wouldn't it be safer to frame an outcome as I want to feel confident when I am on a stage?
Yeah, Ms. Ba, I'm sure that's quite an eye opener for many people. So, so we just saw how it's important to frame the outcome using positive statements and in a way that it shows what you are working towards. So, for example, Misbah said, instead of I don't want to be nervous on stage, say I want to be confident, or I don't want to be fat, say I want to be healthy or fit, or whatever it means to you. And that is why the next element is very important, which is the outcome should be sensory specific. It should not only be stated positively, it should also be sensory specific, which means that it should be verifiable. You should be able to verify it with your senses. Sensory specific, which means you should be able to check and measure and observe that outcome by what you see, by what you hear, by the physical sensations you experience in the body, or by what we can smell or we can taste.
Absolutely. An example for non sensory outcome is I want to be confident on stage.
Right.
And an example for a sensory specific outcome would be when on a stage, I would have a smile on my face, my shoulders be broad, chest out, my neck would be held high, and I would be looking at the audience, maintaining the eye contact. My voice will be very clear, volume loud, and I will be using my hands while talking. Which one would you now out of this? Which one would it be easier for the mind to imagine and understand and work towards?
Yeah, of course, the second one, when you're describing how you're looking and how you're maintaining eye contact, your volume, and hand movement. So that this is absolutely clear and so precise. And before I say anything else, let's say quick hi quickly to everyone in the audience. Some
Hi
uh,
everyone.
yeah, some regular people I see again. Hello, Prabhat. Hello, other people. I'm not able to see all the names. So yeah. So we can take another example to understand this. And just it would be great if you can, while I answer Misbah's questions or she answers my questions, if you can also share, your answers to those or how you feel about that, in addition to any questions that you have in the comments, so that, we know that we are all on the same page. Okay. So taking another example, let's take another example related to stage. So let's say my outcome is the audience will be very happy with my speech. Now it is positive, but is it sensory specific? Now let's make it sensory specific. At the end of the speech, I notice that the audience has a smile on their faces. They are applauding. They are giving me a standing ovation. I can feel lightness in my chest. As I hear them applauding, I see their smiles. Maybe the organizer is coming on the stage to thank me. He or she is shaking my hand, and so on. Now, notice the difference. The audience will be very happy to hear my speech or to listen to me, compared to, they're giving me standing ovation. I can feel goosebumps and so on, or just the way Misbah described, that this is how I'll feel on stage. So the mind finds it easier to connect to information that is sensory, what I see, what I hear, what I will feel, what I will smell or taste, because it knows exactly what you're talking about.
Right. So I think that's a perfect example of converting a non-sensory into a sensory specific outcome. And along with the outcome being very clear, another major advantage of a sensory specific outcome is that impact it has on the intensity of the emotions that we feel when thinking about that outcome. So when just to the last example that Mamta gave about audience will be happy with my speech, to what she described it into a sensory specific, it actually creates an emotion in you and it is quite intense in its state. Okay, so this emotional feeling highly influences our level of motivation to achieve that outcome also. Let's take again with the same example from the previous one. uh, that's what I said. So let me reiterate the example again, and let's talk about it, which is more,
Yeah,
stronger, or which has a more stronger emotional response to it.
yeah,
So, where the Mamta first time said that the audience is very happy with my speech, and second was the end. At the end of the speech, I noticed that the audience has a smile on their face. They are applauding by giving me a standing ovation, and I can feel a sense of lightness in my chest as I hear the applause and see the smile. Now, when you hear, and as I said earlier also, that the moment there's a description, it becomes sensory specific, it is verifiable, it creates a stronger emotional response in my body.
yeah.
Would you agree to that?
Mhm. I'm sure everybody does, because when you were saying it out aloud, I could already feel myself smiling and, imagining that and so on. And the best way to, how do you turn an outcome into sensory specific outcome, is to imagine as if the outcome has already happened. You have already achieved it. Then imagine yourself in that future. So if you want to be confident on stage, imagine that you are on stage and you are confident. Or if you want the audience to appreciate your speech, imagine that they're already appreciating that speech. Now in that moment, see what you can see, hear what you would be hearing, get in touch with the feelings, and notice where you experience these feelings in your body. Once you notice what you can, step out of yourself, as if Mamta is looking at Mamta, or Misbah is looking at Misbah on that stage, and see yourself doing what you're doing as if you've already achieved that outcome. Check your body language. How are you holding yourself? Are you moving your hands, not moving your hands? Are you moving up and down, not moving up and down? And check your body language, your expressions, what you're saying, what others are saying to you. And that is how you'll be able to describe. Misbah was talking about that description. You'll be able to create a description of that outcome, and that is really important, because as Misbah said, it evokes a stronger emotional response, which is really important, because finally you have to work towards that outcome. So what you can do is, now we learned two things about well-formed outcomes. One was positively stated, and the second is sensory specific. So think of an outcome, think of a goal that you would like to work towards. First, write it in positive language, and then make it sensory specific by imagining that you have already achieved it. So you don't have to get into too many details as of now. Maybe a few lines, say 8 to 10 lines of sensory specific details. And it would be great if you can share a few ideas with us in the comments box.
Right. So now that we have created, while all of you who are present and who would like to share with us in few sentences a sensory specific outcome, So now that we understand and we've created a sensory specific outcome, let us look at the next condition of this well informed outcome, and that is plan of action. So the first two you knew, it has to be in a positive language, it has to be sensory specific, and the third one is plan of action. And now, when I talk about plan of action, what I mean is by having a step by step plan of action of things that you feel are important to do to move towards that outcome. It does not matter whether you think you are able to do, you can do those things, or you're you've not yet begin it. It is just important to know that things that you need to do henceforth. You may not know all the steps also, which is also okay. Write down the ones you know and start from there. You may move closer. This will actually help you to move closer to the outcome. Move things little, make the things more clearer to you, and you will begin to understand other steps that you need to take simultaneously in the process, which you earlier might have not had the clarity about. You can take these steps, add these steps to the plan as you get more clarity.
Perfect, perfect. So let's take an example. So let's say my outcome is to grow my business. Now, some of the steps in my plan of action could be, for example, networking with prospective clients, follow up with existing clients, promote my business on social media, create a website, analyze the strategies my competitors are using. Now, this is not all. Each of these steps can have sub steps or smaller bundle of tasks within them. For example, my first one was networking with prospective clients. Now, in order to network, I first need to know where can I network with these people and which kind of people would I like to network with. Second was to follow up with existing clients, which means I need a list of my existing clients. I need a script. What am I going to say to them that I can, say to them over a call or write in an email. I may do it myself. I may hire somebody to do it. So that will become another step, hiring somebody or writing that content. For social media promotions, I may first need to create articles, videos. If I don't have time for it, I don't know how to, then I may again want to hire somebody or ask for help. So every step will have sub steps. And even these sub steps can have further sub steps. For example, now I need to hire somebody for content creation. So I need to check my budget. What
Right.
kind of person, how much can I pay? Where will I take this budget out from in my existing expenses and so on? Where will I post the job requirement? Am I going to ask my friends if they know somebody, or am I going to put it on monster.com, dockery.com? And you may not know all the steps right in the beginning. What you need to know is the first few steps and sub steps. So once again, think of the outcome that you had thought of in the previous exercise, and make a note of some of the steps that are coming to you right away. That will help you, start moving towards your outcome.
Absolutely. So once you have created that plan of action, it is important to ensure that that first step that you need to take to initiate it there and then. For example, if my outcome is to start a business, as Mamta said, and I'm just taking the same example, to start my business, and my first step is plan of action is to arrange for funds. Then I need to check what steps I need to take to arrange for those funds. If my plan is to wait for my father to provide me with an investment, then the step is to depend on him and not it's dependent on him. It's not dependent on me, so it's further anywhere not in my hand. So how do I ensure that the first step is initiated by me and dependent on me in this case? So probably for the first step, what I can do is I would go and ask my father for the investment, maybe to inform him about my business plan and the idea that I have. And if the plan is not ready, then probably preparing the plan would be the first step before I actually go and ask for the money or the funds. If I don't know how to prepare a plan, so you do understand how the subtasks are getting created in this.
Yeah.
If I so say as I continue about if I don't have a plan prepared, I prepare a plan, and probably learning how to create one or finding someone to help me to create one would be the first step altogether. Notice so Notice how each of the steps can be initiated by yourself. So it's not any more dependent on others. I am sure you can ask if what if the father still says no,
Yeah.
right? Probably find different ways, other ways to understand and or maybe in his scenario only understand or make him understand and address his concerns can also become one of the steps. Or you could have a step to find investors. If he is not convinced, you can look for the investors, or the bank can fund your idea. So every step that you can take or you take or may work for you or may not work for you. If it works, great, good. If it doesn't, then it leads you to another step. So identify what is the next step. Say, for example, if the father doesn't agree to invest, there is an option that you can look for an investor or a bank to fund it. So, as I said, that if it doesn't, if you are not able to identify, if it doesn't work, identify the next step, and that will help you to initiate your plan of action on your own. One of the things that you would realize is that there is always something that you can do. It may be really a small step or very a minute thing you can, it may look like, but you can still do it. But at any point in your life or in a journey to accomplish an outcome, there is something or the other that you can do about it. So before we actually move to the next idea, actually, before the plan of action and we go to the next thing, check whether the first step that you need to take as per your plan can be initiated by you or not. It has to be dependent on you and not on anybody else. If it can't be, add a step that can be initiated by self before the current first step and then move to the next one.
Yeah. Perfect.
I hope this makes sense. I hope it's not confusing, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask questions in the chat.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, I think Misbah that you've explained it really well, and this can be done step by step easily. And while you were saying it, I realized that not only that, as coaches and practitioners, you can ask the right questions so that your client can discover that. So if your client says,
Absolutely.
my father is not agreeing, so what else can you do? Is there somewhere else you can look for these resources? So that is where your questioning skills come into the picture, and we'll talk about effective questioning skills when we come to the meta model and so on. But you can keep asking the right questions so that your client can keep discovering those steps. And once you have, we started by saying that the first and foremost success principle is knowing your outcome. Within knowing your outcome, to have a well-formed outcome, you need to state it in the positive. You need to have it, it should be sensory specific, and there should be a plan of action of steps that can be initiated by self. And if they cannot be initiated by self, that means there are other steps that you can take.
Right.
And once you have, yeah, and once you have that, the next condition for a well-formed outcome is that, I said it earlier also, the outcome should be ecological. And if you're wondering, that ecology we talk about, like when we talk about the environment and taking care of the planet, that is where we talk about ecology, right? So their ecology means that all living beings on the planet, along with the non-living elements, are living in harmony. And here, in terms of your outcome, ecological outcome means you are taking every aspect of your outcome into account, right?
Right.
So sometimes, we are trying to achieve X, but that may cost us Y, which is also an important thing in our life. And if both are important, then I may not be able to achieve my outcome. So going back to our business example, if my outcome is to grow my business, and one action that I need to take is to, let's say, take up more assignments, more work. More assignments means I am going to spend more time or in my work, in my office maybe. This means I may be able to spend less time with my family. So now my new outcome and my plan of action has an impact on another area of my life, which is my personal life with my family. This could mean that my wife and children are feeling bad, they're getting less time or attention. This can create problems in my personal relationships or my personal life. We can have arguments and so on, which means a change in one area where you may have an outcome creates a ripple effect in other areas of my life. and in the lives of other people around me who are connected to me, right? Personal or professional. If these ripple effects are good, then my action is ecological. But if the ripple effects leads to things that I don't want in my life, like in this case, if my partner is not happy that I'm at work all the time, then my action is not ecological. And in such cases, my unconscious mind may resist and prevent me from taking these actions, and finally eventually prevent me from achieving my outcome or achieving my goal, which is also what happens with a lot of people.
Absolutely, I think I agree with the sub point and the very well example that you have put across. Now that we all know why creating, as Mamba said, an ecological outcome is important, it is also important to know, both as a therapist and as a coach and as an individual, to ensure that the outcome is ecological. There are two ways of doing it. One, that is a NLP process that you will be able to master, that we use in our cognitive hypnotic coaching training program. The one that I'm going to share now is more a conscious process. So let's consider all the possible changes in your life. First would be as a result of the application of each activity that is a part of the plan, and second change would be as a result of accomplishing your outcome. What is it that you're achieving? Next, let's do a cost benefit analysis of both the outcome and each steps that you've included in the plan of action. Now, when you're assessing the cost, consider the possible problems that the outcome, assessing the cost, consider the possible problems that the outcome and the steps may create, along with the existing benefits that you may have to give up.
Mispa, did I lose you or did you lose me? I think we lost Mispa.
Advantages of me achieving this outcome? What are the advantages of me not achieving this outcome? And what are the disadvantages of me not achieving this or achieving this outcome?
Right.
The answer to the first question and the last question will add up to the motivation to achieve the outcome. And the answer to the second and the third will help you to understand the problem that may occur as a result of the outcome and the existing benefits that you will need to give up on to achieve the outcome. Once you have done a cost benefit analysis, modify the outcome and the plan in a way that you can minimize the problems and preserve the existing benefits. And second, in case a problem is inevitable or you may have to let go of the benefit as a result of some activity which is important, create a simultaneous plan to deal with the expected problems and to preserve the existing benefits. What's it? I hope I make sense.
Yeah. And thanks for sharing that. That was really detailed and elaborate. And I'm sure people will be able to do their own cost benefit analysis so that their outcome, remains ecological. And for self, as well as you can use the same process with the clients. So let's see this in action and go back to the same example of growing my business. Now, if, as I said, maybe growing my business means more work, means I'll be in office for longer, means less time with my family. That means as an individual or as a client, I may want to add an alternative step into my plan to make up for this time with my family. Maybe so as an individual, if you ask me how can I do that, maybe I can take my family out for the weekend, for a weekend getaway once a month or once in 2 months. Because I'll be doing more work, maybe I'll have more money to spend and I can afford these weekend vacations. And this means I can make up for the less time, not just in terms of quantity, but also quality time. So I can focus only on the vacation when I'm with them. And if you're watching this and if you're doing these steps with us as we are explaining it to you, go back to your outcome, look at your plan of action, do a cost benefit analysis for the outcome, uh, and for each step of the plan of action. And do you want to add more steps to make up for, as Misbah said, if one step is creating a problem, or if one step is changing something that you don't want, to change in your life. So what other things you can do in addition to these steps towards your outcome that will ensure that all aspects of your life benefit from taking these steps, from executing this plan of action, and from achieving this outcome.
Absolutely. I think that's a brilliant way of summarizing it. Don't forget to share your answers in the comment sections, and we will. I think we will take up the questions a little later once we are through with this. Or you can simply just write a yes if you are not able to share everything with us. That you've understood what we are trying to do here, how we are helping you to think on a step by step way in actually creating in this outcome itself. Now that you understand this outcome and the plan is ecological, say let's say you've understood the plan is ecological. The next step is to identify what are the resources you need to accomplish the outcome. These resources can be external like money, people, things, and internal like knowledge, attitude, skills, state. Begin with making the notes of the resources you need to start working towards your goal. You can add more to it as you go, as and when it is required, becoming aware of the needs, as you become aware of the needs. Once you've identified the required resources, check whether you already have these resources or do you need to acquire them from somewhere. So if you already have them, take the first step within like say 24 hours and start towards initiate the process. And if you need to acquire some external resources or develop some internal resources, then add steps to the plan that will help you to first develop or acquire that internal resources or external resources. Do the ecological check for the new steps and then initiate the first step towards it.
Right.
So I think having ecological check is required at any given point of time.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And before we move to the next step, uh, generally people try to assess resources that may be needed, but they look at resources as only external ones, right? So I don't have the money, I don't have the people to do it, I don't have the space to do it, and so on. What many of us miss out on is an assessment of internal resources that Ms. You just talked about. In fact, most people feel that internal resources will happen on their own, or I'll develop them once I achieve my outcome. So if we go back to the stage and the confidence, so if you ask a person how to develop confidence, they may say that once I achieve my outcome, I'll automatically feel confident. Now there's a slight problem here. If confidence is required to achieve the outcome, and I'm saying that confidence will develop when I achieve the outcome, now it is a vicious cycle. Confidence cannot happen unless I achieve the outcome. The outcome cannot happen unless I develop confidence. um, so one of the goals in coaching and therapy and other practitioners who work with people, help them change, is to help the client develop these internal resources so that they can actually start taking these steps in their plan of action, and finally achieve the outcome or the goal. So external resources are very important, but don't forget the internal resources. And how do you check what these internal resources are that you need to achieve your goal? So you can ask yourself these questions. And if you're a coach or a practitioner, you can ask your clients these questions. What is it that I need to, or you need to fulfill this goal? What resources do I or you already have? And what resources do I or you need to achieve this? What will happen if I act as if I already have the resources that I'm talking about? And this last question, what will happen if I act as if I already have the resources that I'm talking about, will help you identify any other resources that you may have missed out on in the initial bit of the planning, the resource planning.
I think Mamta, I think that's very well explained. And in this episode, we have learned about the success principle. The first thing, we've explored the first principle of success, which is know your outcome, and everything, the subtopics that are required to be taken into consideration, as in the sub pointers that needs to be taken into consideration while coming up with the outcome or defining the outcome. What we are going to do is, in the next episode, we will go to the next success principle, which is about taking the action. And so, for that, I will ask you to stay tuned for the next episode. And in the meanwhile, for now, we will take up the questions that we have from the audience. What do you say, Mamta?
Yes, of course.
All right. So Prabhat has asked a question around some time back that, ma'am, it is said that our 96% behavior is programming of our subconscious mind. That means, ma'am, we are unconscious 96% of the time in a day. You want to take that?
Yep. So, um, okay. Prabhat, so it is said so because a lot of behaviors that we do are running on autopilot. So we are doing the same things every day, right? To the extent of the side of the bed that we sleep on, the way we wear our clothes, the order in which we do things in a day, the route that we take to work. So to that extent, yes, it is true that a lot of it is, or your day, or our behaviors in any given day are being run by the subconscious or the unconscious, because it is that part of the mind or that processing that takes care of these autopilot, automatic, involuntary behaviors, right? Now, so that is true. Now, what is your question? You're saying if I am unconscious, I shouldn't respond very accurately to the situation and people. Okay. So, Prabhat, it does not mean that all those unconsciously driven or automatic behaviors are wrong. Some of them are, working really well for you, right? So maybe I'm able to get up early, or I'm able to go to bed on time on my own automatically. It's a pattern that I'm following, and it is working for me, right? Where we need to check what is happening is where these behaviors are not taking you towards your outcome or where you want to be, right? So I want to, let us say, I want to exercise or study or do some assignments or do some work in the morning or exercise, whatever, and or study, and I want to get up early. But my unconscious behavior is still driving me towards getting up late, right? Now, that is where it is important to check what is happening here. So, first, as we said, success depends on 5 things. The first one is knowing your outcome. So, what is your outcome exactly? And let's say I say that my outcome is to lose weight. So, that is why I'm trying to get up early to exercise. Now, what does this losing weight mean? This losing weight means I want to be X number of kilos. I want to be a certain size. I want to be able to climb up and down the stairs comfortably.
Without feeling out of breath. Yeah.
Yeah, without feeling shortness of breath, without feeling out of breath. And that is, now you're telling me, now we are framing it in the positive. So going to positive, how will you frame it? I want to be fitter, healthier, whatever it is for you. I'm just taking one example. Now I have a positive outcome, want to be fitter, healthier. And then the second is to make it sensory specific. So what does this fitter, healthier you look like, right? So I'm able to run for an hour every day. I can wear size medium or size small or size large, whatever it is, clothes, and so on and so forth. I'm eating this kind of food, and etc., etc. Now it becomes sensory specific, right? And now you need to check what's the third step, plan of action. Now, what all will you need to do? So I need to drink more water. I need to maybe eat healthier. I need to get up early, which was one of my steps where I began. I need to meditate, let us say, for 15 minutes a day. I also want to meditate. I want to sleep on time, right? Now we check which ones of these steps are you able to take or you're not able to take, right? And which one of these steps are you going to initiate yourself? So nutritious food I cannot initiate because, let's say, my house help or my partner is making. So what can I do to make sure that they are able to do it? Oh, maybe I just need to tell my partner or my house help that from tomorrow I will eat X and not Y, right? Or maybe one step will be to procure the ingredients for that, right? Now check, can you take it? What are the resources you need? And you say that, I need recipes and so on. Now let's go to the step of getting up early, right? Your one of the steps is you want to get up early. You can initiate it yourself. You set an alarm. That is one of most step that you can take. And then you realize, no, I also need to sleep on time. But if I sleep on time, then there are important phone calls that I need to make to my friends, which I don't get time during the day. That is getting compromised. That may prevent you from going to bed early, which may prevent you from waking up early, right? So this is, now we're talking about ecology here, right? So that means I need to find time during my day, maybe during the weekend, right? And make those phone calls so that I can go to bed early, right? So this is how you will use this entire success principle, right? And then you'll identify, as I said, you'll identify the resources. What is it that you need to do? So one of my actions is want to exercise. I don't know which exercises are good for me or my goal, right? Maybe I need to hire a trainer. Do I have the money to hire a trainer? Where will this money come from, right? Do I know of any good trainers? How will I find out, right? So this all becomes then your part of plan of action, and then you can check what resources you have or you don't have, and what further steps you can take to acquire those resources.
I think you very well sum up the entire sessions, today's sessions, Mamta,
Yeah.
in one question. I think he has another question also. If my father scolds me, why am I feeling angry? Because our behavior is unconscious. Why am I so conscious? I should be unconscious.
Okay. Prabhat, while you are aware of, you are conscious of the
Feeling.
anger output. So as a result of anger, maybe you get up and leave, or you say something back, or you feel bad, or you're not able to do your normal work after that. But that anger is coming up automatically. You have not planned to create that anger. So in that sense, that anger is unconscious. However, you can see the results. Once it comes up, you can see it and you become conscious of it, right? So it's, we cannot say that it's completely unconscious controlling our lives or completely conscious controlling our lives. It's a beautiful balance of both. Their function is to work in a way that you can lead a safe, comfortable life, right? However, there are places, and if you recall the presuppositions, the NLP presuppositions, right? Behind every behavior, there is a positive intention. So, whenever you see the conscious or the unconscious generating behavior that is not creating a good result for you, but you're still doing it, that means there is a positive intention behind that behavior that is not getting fulfilled by any other behavior. And that is what we'll look at when we come to patterns of behavior and automatic behaviors and how to change them and the techniques to change them. There's a technique that I think we have shared earlier. The name is reframing. So, and then we'll share how we can change these behaviors and what else can we do. But for now, you can use this as an outcome. So if you do not want to be angry, what do you want to be? That will become your outcome. State it in the positive. Make it sensory specific. How will you feel? What will you see? What will you hear when you are not angry, but you are that, whatever your goal is? Let's say I want to be more relaxed and calm, right? With my father, and so on. And then you follow all the steps that we have just shared in the episode, and we'll come to the next, like, what do you do with it then in the next episode?
All right. So I think that's the only questions that we have for now. Guys, if you have in the meanwhile any other questions, feel free to share it on the chat. Yeah, especially with regards to the today's topic of success principle and the first one which we discussed in elaborate manner. If there is still something that you feel that it's missing or you feel that needs more clarity, feel free to ask, or maybe you can mull over it over the weekend, over the week. And when we take up next week on the same day, Wednesday, 6:30, we have our next episode of TruTalks on NLP. You can post it there at that point of time. We can connect it with the next success principle that we take. Right? I think are we good to go now?
Yes, I think. Thank you so much, everybody, people who have joined us and were watching us, and people who will watch us later. You can always share your ideas, your questions in the comments, and we and our team will respond to you on in the comments section. And stay tuned. There's a lot of interesting stuff coming up in the
Yes.
subsequent episodes.
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot to discuss and a lot of techniques and methods that we are going to have a elaborate discussion on. So quite excited about it. So we are excited and we see that excitement when we see all of you joining us and asking us all kind of questions that brings up more enthusiasm to do work on these topics and bring it to you.
Perfect.
All right then. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a lovely weekend. Stay safe and take care.
Take care. Bye bye. Good evening.
Bye.